Freelancing can be a very daunting way to earn money. Maybe you're a recent graduate, maybe you're about to start freelancing, or maybe you're considering it as a career move. In this series of videos, we're going to be looking at 5 key areas of freelancing. Running yourself as a business of one, where do you find work and how do you conduct yourself on social media? How do you set your rates? What do you charge? Invoicing, how do you set them up, and what's the other key paperwork that you need? Lastly, we'll be talking about tax. So learn from my experiences, get some useful tips and tricks that you can use right away to have a much better experience as a freelancer. Welcome to my Freelance Survival series. Oh, the difficult one. The age-old question, what on earth do I charge? How do I work that out? Who knows? Where does that come from? What? This is not going to be a video that's going to give you your rate. It's going to be it's a video that's going to help you work that out. Because I can't tell you. I can tell you that when I was a camera operator in London 5 years ago, when shooting corporate and commercial work, I was £250 a day without equipment, £350 a day with my camera. I don't know if that's of any use to you. It was 5 years ago. It was in London. It was camera operating. That was created as a rate over many years after that very much became clear that it's a rate that got me hired. It's a rate that respected the work I was doing. It's a rate that respected my time. And it's the rate that seemed to be going. Everyone seemed to be charging that. And that was for corporate stuff. Things changed when it came to like commercial shoots as a DOP because I'm a member of the union BEC2 that has BEC2 rates. There's other different rates that come, I think, from PACT, or is it PACT, or there's a producers guild that sets different rates for commercials, and that's what was offered for that. And then when it comes to film sets, there's BEC2 rates, but you can go above that. And it also depends on, was I shooting a low budget indie film? Was it worth my time to charge less? And in the end, you just are charging for your time. That is the main thing, especially at beginner level freelancing. You're charging for your time. And that's the most important thing to think about when it comes to when you invoice, what the amount you're charging is. It's your time. When your time on a project's done, you invoice. And you need to make sure you're charging enough to warrant your time on that project. But then that can also mean that things can change slightly because perhaps for me as a cinematographer, perhaps there was an incredible camera that I was going to get to use that I hadn't used before. So that shifts things. My time's worth doing that because it is useful for my showreel. I mean, nothing is worse than being offered a great chance for showreel material, but sometimes that was actually the case. And also, maybe it's a chance to work with an incredible actor or director or with an amazing brand, or if it's the first time I'm working for a company. These are the different things you need to consider. And there is no right answer, but hopefully after this video, you will have a little bit of a better ballpark figure in mind. And in the end, simplification is key. So let's have a little look into this then. Right. Working out your fee. You should charge the going rate. Undercutting isn't always a great idea. And you've got to appreciate there will be lots of people who will undercut you. I went into the corporate world at the time when there was a boom of highly affordable, very cinematic looking cameras, such as the 5D Mark II. And a lot of people ended up owning them who were not that great. They might have got one job because they charged £60 a day, which is not a lot. But they tended not to get the second job because in the end they weren't great. And so they might have gotten hired because of the camera. But in the end, you've got to come up with the goods. You can't just be undercutting people and keep working. Because in the end, people are paying for something. Their clients won't accept poor work. So you might get away with it once, but in the end, you need to start charging the going rate to compete with everyone else. And sometimes it's amazing how I've upped some of my rates with different clients and been more successful because those clients are looking for higher priced purchases when it comes to the services they buy. That is just all part of the game you are now needing to play. And believe me, businesses, advertising agencies, film companies, production companies, they're not always charging one fee for every single client because they're adapting things depending on the job. But at this time, when you're starting out, I would keep things as simple and as clear as possible, because clarity and clear communication is something that people will be really willing to pay for time and time again. And reliability. Are you reliable? That makes all the difference. Being reliable is essential. Being on time, being polite, being fun to work with, having something else to talk about other than just the job, because sometimes you might be on a job with someone for a few days, and that's quite important. So don't undersell yourself. Think about your time and what you need to charge. So a quick little search online. Don't hold me to any of these numbers. They're just to try and give you a demonstration. But it seems to me, I mean, I was quite lazy. I went on the first one on a Google search, that 36,000 seems to be the UK average for a wage. That is £10 an hour for a standard 10-hour day. And a lot of days tend to be a 10-hour day. If you worked all 365 days of the year, but you're not going to work 365 days for a year. So if you're charging £10 an hour, chances are as a freelancer, you are not going to be hitting the UK average. Now, the UK average is not something you need to be hitting, but it's just to give you an indication, okay? And there'd be different averages depending on what country and also what region you're in. But it's just something to consider as a little bit of a ballpark. If you're starting to charge less than that, you need to be careful, because actually, when you look at minimum wage throughout the entire year, you can easily start to fall below minimum wage when you think you're doing yourself a favour by discounting to get more work. So, some maths. Maths is not my strong point, so bear with me. You've not been earning any money. It's your first freelance job. You get yourself an editing job. First of all, editing jobs, be mindful of them. Clients have a habit of just asking for tiny changes, and you need to charge for them. Don't just let it happen, because the moment it happens, it'll keep on going forever. But anyway, £1,000. That's what you're going to get paid. You've not earned anything yet. That's incredible. Earning £1,000 when especially if you're a recent graduate, sounds wonderful. So you've worked out it's going to take 3 weeks, and the client has agreed. It's a 3-week job, okay? But let's look into that, because £1,000 might not actually be that much. So let's split it down. Let's do 1,000 divided by 3. So we get to work, so we can understand how much we're earning a week. So that's going to be £333 and 33 pence. It would be lots of other fees recurring, but for the sake of it, that's where we're going to stop. We know, so we're charging £10 an hour is what we're considering, you know, we're looking at aiming for as our kind of benchmark just for now. Okay, so then we're working 5 days a week, so we're going to have a weekend. I think that's sensible to consider. You do need to rest. If you burn yourself out, it's no good. You won't be earning any money. So £333.33 divided by 5 is £66.66. I think I'm right. My calculator says I'm right. I can't do maths. Then 60. So therefore 66 down into 10. So a 10-hour day. So that means you're earning £6.66 an hour. So considering that if you were looking at that UK average, it's not like you have to. But basically, what you've worked out is for over 3 weeks, you've gotten to your hourly rate, which is £6.66. So a quick Google search, looking at this from the UK, the minimum wage is for 21 to 24-year-olds, so considering recent graduates, if I go there, it's £8.20. So that job suddenly doesn't become minimum wage. You need to be mindful of that. And that could be the only 3 weeks you work for a while. You might not work that 4th week in the month. All of a sudden, that £1,000, which instantly, for someone who's not worked before, will sound wonderful and captivating, it could turn out that that's not even minimum wage if you're taking 3 weeks to do that amount of work. To hit the UK kind of average, again, remember, all of these numbers are correct at the time of me filming. There may be something wrong in there, and I'm trying to just do this for demonstration rather than being exact, to try and get you in the mentality of what you need to think about to set what you're going to charge, what your rate is. But think that £1,000 again, that's before tax. So that £1,000 isn't all you're going to earn. That £1,000 actually is a take home of around £600 to £700, depending on your tax band You've got to consider national insurance. You've got to consider student loan repayments, because if you're earning enough, that you will be paying that off as well. So when it comes to how much you need to live, if that was your only job for a month, that, especially somewhere like London, wouldn't cover your rent and everything you need to live, I would imagine, especially not enough if you're trying to save for more equipment and if you're trying to build a profit to expand. So that's something to consider when it comes to charging your rate. Something may sound wonderful at the start, but that could trap you into that rate. They may only hire you for that amount. You've got to really look at how long will that job cost? How much is your time worth? And definitely start with the minimum wage and work upwards. But to me, with my rough calculations there, a job for £1,000 taking 3 weeks doesn't sound viable. That may not happen. You may not come in contact with that. But I just want you thinking about this. So you need to look at this and think, is this enough for you to survive off this month? And what happens if you don't work next month? You may look at it and say, well, actually 1,500 is more realistic, and that's probably taking you closer to that £10 an hour. A lot of jobs won't want to do an hourly rate. They will just want to give you a flat fee. So be mindful of that. If you do go to people and say, here's my hourly rate, stick to it, but don't basically be confused, is what I'm saying. Don't say, well, my hourly rate's £10 an hour, and someone say, well, actually, we'll give you a blanket fee of £1,000, and because you've not earned anything yet, £1,000 can sound massive, especially as someone who's a recent graduate. Don't be tricked. Okay, really think about that. Of course, don't think I'm mad. Like, money, earning money is really important, and £1,000 to a lot of people is so much money. But I'm just trying to give you an idea of what the real cost of these things, especially when it comes to creative industries. And often you do need to go to places like London or Bristol, which are more expensive. If you're working on a computer as an editor or as a graphic designer, motion graphic designer, you might be able to work from home. You might be able to work from different parts of the world. I do think as your career will progress and as time will go on, you are more likely to see people A, working from home, and B, the creative industry spreading throughout the whole of the UK and spreading more around the world, that you won't be anchored down to those specifically expensive places. But it's still worth considering. It's still worth having all of these thoughts in your mind. But for the recent graduates out there, have a graduate fee. I think that's quite important for the first year, and also maybe fees for your a discount for new business. Maybe the first time it's with a client, offer them a discount, but these should always be discounts. Okay, and you should always make it clear this is a graduate fee ending in September 2021 if you've graduated in September 2020 or so, or so on. Always show your full cost on your invoices and discount on the invoice, so that you never have a zero on an invoice. So people always understand your full cost. Okay, so you're going to get 30% off because it's new client. So the first time I do a job with a company, it's 30% off. Okay, everyone loves a discount. Everyone loves a deal. It can really make things, you start off on a really positive note, and more work should come. That's something that's great. And maybe you are saying, I'm discounted 20% across the board for the first year because I'm a new graduate or I'm a new freelancer. Fine, make it clear on your invoice, okay? Make it clear. So you may say to someone, I'm going to be £10 a day, but then on the invoice, you're charging £15 per day, and you discount it down to £10 a day. So at least when they get the invoice, they can see, and it's no surprise when next time or at a certain time you charge a higher rate. People know it's coming. Okay, you don't want to just suddenly drop on a client, your prices have gone up, out of nowhere. You especially shouldn't do it without agreeing it. You shouldn't just drop it on your invoice. As someone working in the creative industry, you are an artist, and the kind of common rule with art is that you should raise your price little and often. And I think that's something important to consider in the work that you're doing. But communication with your clients is key. If your prices are changing, let your clients know. But don't be afraid of it. Your clients will want to see you improving. Upping your prices means things are going well. It means the work is of that higher quality and of that standard. It's a big taboo, especially in the UK, to talk about money, to talk about how much people earn. But I think in your situation, someone new to freelance, as I imagine you are by clicking on this video, try and find others. talk to each other. There is enough room in this world for many people doing what you're doing. So share. Work with each other. Even if you're both competing for the same work, that's useful. Competition drives and improves. So find the network of the people who are doing similar things to you and talk to each other. Work out what the rates are. Help each other out. I think that's quite important. I think more of that would be wonderful for this industry. So with your rate, it's really important that you don't overcomplicate. As a camera operator, I had 2 rates, with kit, without kit. That's really important. It was simple. My clients knew it. If they had a camera and they wanted me to use it, I turned up, it was this much. Or perhaps they wanted me in for an edit day. That's how much I cost. If it's just me, that's my time. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. Some jobs I had, I turned up on the day, the job got cancelled. They were still paying for me, so they asked me to do something else. If it was within my skill set, they've paid for my day. I did it. With equipment means I turn up with my camera. Or maybe it's lighting, or maybe whatever it is. Work that out. But 2 costs. At one point I had costs per different kits, it was all over the place, and it did not help. It didn't get me any more work. I lost work, if anything, and I earned less money. So clarity with your pricing is really important. So really, when you think about it in that way, what I'm saying is you charge for 2 things. You charge for your time, which is you, and you charge for your equipment. Later on, you can start charging for your art as well. That can hold weight over what you're charging for as you become more successful, more well known. But for me, I still put that into my time, because that's my time. That's the cost of my time. My art and my expertise is part of me. And so when I say I'm charging for my time, that's just me. And then equipment's added on, because that's not me. That's something else. That's something rented. So I treat it kind of that way, that my equipment is a rented in thing. It just happens to be it's rented in from me and I own it, but that's the way I look at it. So my art and my expertise is me. So when I say I'm charging for my time, that's what I mean. And that's what I raise little and often. I tend not to raise the cost of my equipment unless the equipment is improved and worth more. For me, what I charge for my time, that's what I raise little and often. Discounts, lastly, do it. Discount for larger jobs that are going to go on for longer. I always do it. Security is a really important thing. So if you know you're working for 2 weeks solid on a job, or a month, or maybe even something like 6 months, or maybe a year or a couple of years, yeah, a discount's really important. But again, I have my daily rate. I discount off as a percentage. The client can see on the invoice how much I cost in full. They can see how much I'm discounting on the invoice. And well, I would do that on something that I call a project confirmation form. And I'm going to talk about that when we look into paperwork. But that's something that's really useful. That means the client and you know exactly what's going on before the job starts. I hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe. Don't miss out on the rest of the videos in this series, please. They're coming out for the rest of the week. Please give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and most importantly, engage in the comments. Tell me, has this been useful for you? Is there anything you think's wrong? Is there anything you disagree with? Is there anything you've learned from this video? Anything that you didn't know before? Please tell me. I'll see you down in the comments, and more importantly, I'll see you in the next video.